Hi guys, today we are going to talk about the properties of parallelograms, rhombi, and trapezoids from lesson 5 of chapter 13. And the properties that we learn about today are going to help you be a math detective again and figure out missing angles of these shapes when there is a missing angle. Okay. This green one is a parallelogram. Down here you can see this definition. A parallelogram is a four-sided figure in which opposite sides are parallel. So we have segment AB is parallel to segment CD, and segment AD is parallel to segment BC. That's what makes a parallelogram. And it's definitely, like it says right here, a four-sided figure. You cannot have a 6 or 8 or anything else sided figure that is also called a parallelogram. Okay, and then we've got another example here that's a parallelogram, and here and here. Notice we've got some long skinny ones, we've got some shorter fat ones, so length of the sides does not matter. They can be equal, they don't have to be equal. I don't think any of these are equal, although since the definition of a parallelogram doesn't say anything about the lengths of the sides, they can be equal and it can be a parallelogram. Can you tell which of these are not parallelograms? I'll give you a hint. There's 2 and 2. 2 yes and 2 no. One is easier than the others to notice. This one for sure is not a parallelogram. See, eventually this one and this one are going to intersect. Okay, and eventually, have you figured out the other one yet that's not a parallelogram? The last one's harder. Eventually, these two, I'm going to exaggerate this one a little bit. Eventually this one is going to intersect this one. Probably way up high though. So these are the two that are not parallelograms. Because what you're about to learn about a parallelogram, as far as finding some missing angles, you can only use what I'm about to show you on parallelograms. So these two, we wouldn't be able to use what you're about to learn next. And this is what you're about to learn. The measures of the opposite angles of a parallelogram are equal. In other words, this one and this one, angle Q and angle S. Do you notice first of all that they're both acute? They are. And they're equal. We'll call those opposites. And opposite angles in a parallelogram are equal. Do you notice the angle P and angle R are obtuse angles? Those are opposites, and those are also equal. Now what we've got down here though is really important. Look what they did here. They took the green and the yellow, the P and the S, they tore them off. So there are these right here. Well, let me erase so we can see this better. Give me a sec. Okay. Let's erase this too. So here, we've got angles P and S. We call those adjacent. They're right next to each other. Those they put on this line, they tore the corners off, put them on the line, and what do you notice? You notice that they form a straight line, a straight angle. So if we add those up, if we find the sum of the measure of angles P and S, what are those going to equal? 180 degrees, right? Yes, isn't that interesting? And then these also are right here. The pink and the blue, angle Q and angle R. Those also were torn off and put together, and look what they create. Another straight line, another straight angle. And you know that straight angles equal 180 degrees also. So the amazing thing about this, if you know you've got a parallelogram for sure, I'm going to show you because I think that this is so incredibly cool. So just hold on. while I erase, because wait till you see this. It's going to look a little bit familiar, but if we know just one of these, say we know that angle P is, I'm just going to pick something, 120 degrees, then we know enough about the properties of a parallelogram that we can figure out all the rest of these. Because we know that opposite angles are equal. If this is 120 degrees, then what is this? 120 degrees also. And if we know that the green and the yellow equal 180, and also the blue and the pink, adjacent angles, also equal 120, or 180, sorry, then we can figure out these missing angles. So for S right here, S plus 120 degrees equals 180. And so what does S equal? If you're thinking 60 degrees, you are correct. We can do that with the Q also, the pink one, but it's faster just to already know from up here that opposite angles are equal. And so if this is 60, so is this. Awesome. And now, with 4 corners, when you have a quadrilateral, all 4 of them get put together to equal a circle. So these all should equal 360. Does 120 plus 120 plus 60 plus 60 equal 360? Yes, they do. That's pretty cool, right? If you know just one angle, you have enough information to find all the other 3. So here we know angle T is 80 degrees. What's the other one that's 80 degrees? The opposite one, which is what? S, V, or U? Oops. If you are thinking V, sorry, V, you are correct. Okay, and now how do we find angles S and U? Well, remember that these are going to equal 180, and so are these. These are going to equal 180. Well, if these are 80, you can easily do that in your head. If this is 80, what do you need right here at the U to equal 180? 100, right? And then the opposite angle rule, if this is 100, then what is this? Also 100, right? Let's just turn that question mark into a 0. So 100, 180, and 80. And another way to check is those should all add up, all 4 of them should add up to equal 360. Do they? They do. Let's go to the next slide. So here's some practice. It says that these parallelograms are not drawn to scale. What that means whenever you see that is that they're not really drawn perfectly according to the numbers that are written there. If you were to use your protractor and measure that angle that says 70 degrees or that other one that says 56 degrees, it's not going to say that on your protractor. It's just a picture, and we're sticking some numbers in to practice with, okay? So don't use your protractor. It's not going to come out correctly. So let's practice this. If this one's 70, what's the other one that's 70 degrees? If you guessed angle S, you are correct. And then you should be thinking 70 degrees plus what? Well, we can do P or the R right now, equals 180. 70 plus what equals 180? If you guessed 110 degrees, good job. And if P is 110 degrees, then so is R. And let's look at number 3, find the measure of angle A. Well, we're going to find the measure of all of them because this is so fun. If the measure of angle B is 56 degrees, what's the other one that's 56 degrees? The opposite one is D. Okay, now it's a little harder for me to find angle C and A in my head, so I'm going to do some algebra. Remember that we can do 56 plus, I'll just put angle A, equals 180. We could have also done it with angle C and angle B, because adjacent, right next to each other, like neighbors, adjacent ones are going to equal 180 degrees. So if we subtract 56 from both sides of our equation, A equals, That looks like a 9, but it's meant to be an A. Guess I need to do some borrowing. 124 degrees. Okay, and if this is 124 degrees, then what is C? Also 124 degrees. Very good. Okay, again, faster now. If Q is 132 degrees, then so is angle N. And those two together with what equals 180? Subtract 132 on paper or in your head, and that should be 48. 48 degrees. Okay, and if M is 48 degrees, what is P? Also 48 degrees. And if you add all four of those numbers up, they should equal 360. If they don't, something's wrong. And let's do this one. Z is 104, therefore X is also 104. And 104 plus either one of these, W or Y, equals 180. And if we subtract it from both sides, we know that W equals 76 degrees. And if W is 76 degrees, then we know that the opposite one, Y, is also 76 degrees. Okay, I'm going to do a think aloud here, because these are the kind that you don't quite have enough information yet to answer the question, because this is asking for the measure of angle SPR, which is this one. Well, right now I look at it and I think, I don't know what that is, but we have enough information here. Let's think, okay? So I could figure this out if I knew what this angle was. But do I know what this angle is? No. But what I've learned so far today, I do have that information. So let's start. I don't know if I need this right now, but since I've already learned that opposite angles are equal, I'm just going to throw it in there. So if Q is 75 degrees, so is S. And I've learned that these have to equal 180. So 75 plus what equals 180? 105? Okay. So if R is 105, then the entire P is also 105. Okay, so this is for the whole thing. Okay, so I can see that the 25 degrees plus something else, well, angle SPR, because that's what we have to figure out, equals the whole entire 105, 105 degrees. So if we just subtract 25 from both sides of our algebra, then we will get that. I guess I'm going to say angle SPR. And let's see, that's 75, 80, right? 80 degrees. Okay, so this equals 80 degrees. And I think this is where we're going to stop for today. Let's learn about rhombi tomorrow. So even though I have more slides here, this is as far as we'll go for today.